YouTube TV reaching a short-term extension with NBC just hours before a deadline. The carriage fee dispute leaving viewers vulnerable to losing NBC football and Premier League soccer. But the very popular Spanish-language network Univision now pulled off of YouTube TV as of last night. Also, a fight over fees. Rich Greenfield is here with Lightshed Partners, joins us live this morning. How big a deal is this? It seems pretty big.
Well, look, Andrew, this is a really big deal. I think this is going to be a watershed set of carriage battles. It's not just Univision and Comcast, NBC, Universal. It's Disney next month with YouTube TV. So this is a pretty momentous month. And yes, traditionally, this is all about money. Like, how much money are you going to pay to carry my channels? What's different here is that all of the streaming services, Peacock, Disney Plus, Hulu, VIX, like you're looking at all of these services. They're forcing these streaming services into the bundle, meaning, hey, Charter, hey, YouTube TV, pay for these streaming services as part of the bundle. We'll give you a wholesale rate, and you'll package in these streaming services just like another channel. The difference is you can't watch those channels, you can't watch those streaming services within YouTube TV or within Charter Spectrum. You have to go download an app and leave that world, and so it's a suboptimal user experience. So you pay for it, but you don't have the good user experience. And I think, all the media companies, legacy media companies, are trying to have their cake and eat it too. And the question is, Charter was okay with it, but YouTube TV is not. And I think YouTube TV is very focused on the user experience, and it's going to be very interesting. I saw the short-term extension. I was up last night at midnight. What happens, how this plays out, is going to be critical to the future of media.
And how are you handicapping it does play out? Meaning, do you think that Peacock and all of these other DTC services effectively get bundled into the YouTube TV platform? So not just, having a separate app effectively that's somehow connected to that subscription, but that content itself living inside of YouTube TV?
Look, from a content creation standpoint, there's no doubt in my mind that something like Love Island would do more viewership, or Andor on Disney Plus would do more viewership if it was embedded inside of YouTube TV for all of those subscribers. And I think it would make YouTube TV that much more of a compelling service. You've seen a lot of the technical innovation that they've done with multicast, multi-screen viewing. I think just making everything easier for the viewer to consume, so that the EPL games on Saturday morning are sitting right next to all of the other sports content inside of YouTube TV. That's obviously ideal for the consumer. Like, we put our consumer hats on. That's what, Andrew, that's what you and I and Becky and Joe, we would all love to have a unified experience. The question is, all of these companies, your parent company included, has all put a lot of effort into building out these apps. And the question is, do they want to basically shift more and more usage away from those apps into these sort of platforms like YouTube TV? They've already
But this goes back to rebundling. Rich, this goes back to the very idea that we will all be rebundled. And I thought that the bigger idea was that people wanted a la carte. They wanted to say, I like Disney, but I don't like this one. I want to spend money on this for this month or two, and then I want to spend money on this for this month or two. Do you believe the American public, writ large, is willing to write the check that YouTube TV is asking for effectively, instead of buying from, five different services and switching them on and off?
I'm sure that YouTube TV would prefer to have lower prices to their consumer and not bundle in a lot of this content. The challenge is, the Disney started this obviously with Charter. You're seeing sort of everyone realize DTC, launching a streaming service, growing subscribers, marketing, reducing churn, retention is really hard. And I think you're seeing a lot of the companies go, this is too difficult. We're going to go work with Amazon Prime and embed it into the Prime platform. We're going to go embed this into Charter. We're going to go embed this into Comcast. Now let's embed this into YouTube. So this is sort of being forced by the programmer. The programmer wants to force this in because the D2C world is much harder than they thought. You're not seeing Netflix do this. Like, Netflix has no interest in doing this. They're not going to allow this to just be part of the larger bundle. They're going to continue to offer, a low price, direct to consumer, no big bundle required. But I think you're seeing a pretty big gravitational pull.
So you're saying everybody but Netflix goes this direction?
I mean, when you look at, even Apple, right? Like I could say even Apple, you would say, why would they do this? But, Apple's part of now Amazon Prime channels. Like you can watch Apple TV content. You can watch Severance within Amazon Prime. You don't need the Apple TV app anymore. And so even Apple, in trying to get reach and scale, has abandoned that core principle. Look, on the ingestion point, this is going to be this huge battle. It's very consumer friendly. I think YouTube, this is going to be a very, very big fight. I don't know who wins. It's interesting that nothing went dark last night. Obviously, some big football games this weekend.
Well, what about Univision, Rich? Where does Univision lay in all this in the end?
I mean, look, I think the reality is, I don't know what the makeup of the YouTube TV audience is, but I'm suspecting that when you looked at the critical programming, something like Sunday Night Football or something like, if you think about what college football is going to be on across NBC on Saturday, I'm guessing this is a calculated bet that the priority was not in Univision programming.
I understand that, but what does that mean for the rest of the other cable channels in America that may or may not need to come up for renegotiation in the future? Meaning, so we're talking about a Spanish language channel, also has Spanish language news on it. Obviously, there's going to be all of the channels that live inside the Warner, Discovery, maybe Paramount collection at some point. Those channels will come up. By the way, Versant, which is going to be the spinoff from Comcast, with these channels will come up. What does the Univision negotiations say to you about that?
To me, it shows the differential in having football and not having football. I think having NFL and college football are such huge, powers, and we've talked about. I think there's been reporting in the last few days from CNBC. I think that there's going to be an opening up of the NFL contracts because the NFL realizes they're getting underpaid versus other sports leagues given their power. And I think this is a great example, Andrew, of assuming NBC is able to get a deal done and not give in on ingestion, which I don't know to be true. It really does show the power of the NFL and of college sports. And so anyone who doesn't have that, meaning what happens to the ability for a global linear network spinning out of WBD, if that doesn't, if it doesn't get sold and that happens, what happens to these entities without football is harder.
Did you admit
really
to watching Love Island, Greenfield? Did I hear that earlier? Have you seen episodes of Love Island?
I have never watched Love Island, but
you
I
brought
know
it up,
Joe.
like,
but Joe,
talked about
it's the number one show on Peacock. It's the number one show on Peacock.
It sounds like you're discussing whether you've ever had toenail fungus.
Just so we're clear, Rich, are you on Team Warner Discovery at the moment? Because you've got a nice little, maybe some swag or something. I like that coat.
You like that?
Or sweater.
You could wear that on Love Island and get some money.
I know we got to go, Rich.
It's a topical discussion, Andrew. Does it happen
Rich,
or not?
I got to throw one last thing at you, which is very important, though.
Might be hot.
Google and Amazon, if they were to literally stop YouTube TV tomorrow, or if Amazon didn't have the full bundle, like nobody, it'd be like pocket lint to them. People would forget it. Like the investor class, even the CEO might not even know they have it inside the company. And what does that mean to all of the channels?
Not one Google investor cares that they have YouTube TV. And it puts, long term, it puts a lot of leverage in Google's shoes. I mean, Google should win this battle, right? If Google wants to drive and say, look, we are 15% of the multi-channel universe, ingest, or we're just literally dropping you, that should be enough for Google. That being said, Google obviously has larger ambitions to build YouTube onto the TV, get you watching not just YouTube TV, but YouTube on the TV. And so there is a larger Google initiative that goes way beyond YouTube TV that may balance the leverage a little bit more than you would otherwise think. This is not so simple.